Welcome to the Joe McNeil podcast. This is episode number 7, I believe. And today I have a special guest, good friend, Bill Rogers.
Hey, Joe. Good to be here. It's short game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for making the trip down here.
Yeah.
We've known each other for about 10 years now.
Yep.
Met at a Bible study at the Quarry, Jim Barker leads. And I thought today we've never done this. We've talked a lot, but I thought maybe we'd go through your journey in golf and your journey in faith, and then just kind of see where that
Let's
leads.
do it. Heck, I'm subject to go down a rabbit hole,
Yeah.
or off on a rabbit trail, but looking forward to it. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah. So talk to me about just like early life. I believe you told me before you grew up kind of in East Texas, maybe?
Well, my dad was in the Air Force. I was an Air Force brat. So my beginning life was all about travel. Heck, we were on the road, the typical 3 years somewhere and then 3 years somewhere else. But I, as early as I can remember, we were on the road, lived in Africa, Germany, many places in the United States, and East Texas was where my dad, Texarkana, Texas, was
Okay.
where my dad retired. He had a good friend that he was in cadet school. He was a pilot, and this fellow lived in Texarkana and kind of encouraged him to move to Texarkana. So that's where we wound up, and that's where really kind of my I guess I was 12 years old then. That's where we
Yeah.
started the pretty much the formative years of my golf world, certainly.
When did you start playing just like club in hand?
Yeah. Well, my dad and brother were good players, and golf was a big part of my dad's life. He was kind of one of the guys that the generals liked to bring along because he could play. He was, and he was competitive. My brother was competitive, and heck, I was competitive, and I followed him around, shagged balls for him, caddied for him, the whole work.
Yeah.
So I really saw the game, experienced the game by watching it. And I often tell people that almost the first time I put a club in my hand, which was probably about 8 or 9 years old, heck, I had a feel for the game and could do it. I mean, just kind of naturally could hit the golf ball. And then, of course, everything kind of followed suit. I began to play, and I wanted to see how good I was, and I wanted to beat somebody. The whole works.
How long did it take you to beat your dad and brothers?
It was kind of, I got to my teens before that started happening, but I could beat my age group on a regular basis, and not to say that boastfully, but heck, I was highly motivated early on that I wanted to.
Now, is this in the 70s or 80s?
Well, we moved when I was 12, so that would have been like 1963 was when we early 60s. Man, well, you're talking to an old guy, Joe. But that's kind of when all this really took traction, and we'll get to, I fell under the kind of the instruction of the game by an old East Texas golf pro that was the professional at the club there in Texarkana where I grew up. So that was all kind of the beginnings of becoming a player rather than just a golfer. Yeah.
Sure. Did they have back then like junior tournaments?
Oh, yeah. In fact, East Texas, I wouldn't say it was a hotbed of junior golf, but in a 4 states area, it's located right there, kind of in a 4 states area. There was plenty going on: Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas. So that was my little region of the world. And frankly, and I'm sure we'll talk about it as I kind of got to high school, college, I really never was tuned into national golf. I mean, on a big basis, the national juniors or big high profile junior tournaments. I kind of like my little East Texas region there. And but there was plenty going on competitively. The JCs had a big footprint in golf up there, and we didn't know or have anything like the AJGA or the real prominent junior organizations, but there was plenty of opportunity to compete.
Yeah. What was At what point were you like, "I wanna see how far I can go in this?" Like, I might wanna play college or, anything
Yeah.
like that.
Had everything to do with, this, Jerry Robison, the East Texas, or my, golf professional at the club. He knew it way before I knew it.
Okay.
He saw that I had some talent, some ability, and that I was strung tight and wanted to beat. I hated to, lose more than I liked to win, which is
Can you
a
talk about that real quick? Hating to lose rather
well.
than like to win. Like, when you lost, are you, like, breaking your
Oh,
gloves or
yeah.
going
Yeah, I went through man, I was hot wired and, man, had a terrible and, I fought the, kind of the anger part of being a competitor. I fought that, I don't know if I'd say almost all my career, but
Yeah,
I had to really intentionally focus on controlling, that part that ran hot, which, a true competitor, all are strung up a little bit, hot wired. And,
yeah,
that's an aspect of playing, really at any level, but certainly it's going to be what you do for a living. You have
yeah,
to, if you're going to go anywhere, manage that. But yeah, I knew, and as well, the guy who taught me how to play, as well as help from my father, brother. I knew where I was headed. It's all I wanted to do.
yeah,
And I played some other sports. I played baseball, and I was too small to play football. However, I tried, but I knew pretty much in junior high, later junior high, early high school golf, and all that. That I wanted to make something of golf,
yeah.
to be important in what I did.
Who was, like, at the time, who were you watching, like, on tour, or who inspired you, or
Yeah, not that I did that to a high degree. I didn't park out at the TV watching, uh, even professional golf, but didn't know too much about the hotshot junior players in the country. I mean, that just didn't
Yeah.
where I was. But, my dad would take us to Colonial, Byron Nelson, which
Okay,
was a
cool.
short drive from Texarkana. So I got exposure to what the tour was like. And, I would probably need to mention that Miller Barber, who was a,
Yeah.
long time successful tour player, he was from Texarkana, and
Okay.
he was best friends of Jerry Robinson, who taught me how to play golf. So there was always this kind of natural, uh, progression and how I was moving along and what I was exposed to. But I can remember in high school, Mr. Robinson saying, just a few short years, you're going to want to go to school and college. And, I think that's a good goal to look forward to. So, he made everything possible that would kind of make that opportunity come
Sure.
about. So,
What was, like, back then, any, like, significant accomplishments as a junior that you're like that was, like, that you really took pride in? Like, "Man, when I did that, I kinda knew, like, alright, I think I can go play college."
yeah, I qualified for, well, let me see, was it, I was trying to think when I qualified for 2 amateurs, 2 national amateurs, but, that's when I was in school at
Sure.
University of Houston. Ultimately, I'm sure we'll talk about that. But, there were, like I said, there were, in our area, prominent junior tournaments that, I was able to tick off, but and those were to me as important as
Sure.
anything. I was not geared or really even made aware of what was going on on a national scene. So
Yeah.
I was very content with high school golf and the junior golf exposed to in my area to
Sure.
just that was plenty.
Seems like it was a little bit simpler back then.
It was.
I mean, we've got worldwide junior tournaments
Yeah,
now.
yeah. And
Like, holy cow.
yeah, and
Kids at 7, 8 years old, parents are running their Instagrams and like, "Hey, this 7-year-old's gonna be on tour." You're like, "How do you even know that?"
exactly. And of course, the whole world of golf has changed certainly in the last 10, 20 years, a big time, but it is still golf.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do it a lot of different ways. But as you mentioned, these high profile junior organizations, I mean, boy, they almost rival the tour for
Yeah.
what, all the perks involved and where you go, how you do it. And
Yeah.
God bless the game of golf.
So, what was high school recruiting like? Or like what or like I don't even know what that was like back then. You go to the University of Houston, what was
Well, I had opportunities to at least visit several universities, the University of Texas, LSU, and really the University of Houston, which was a golf powerhouse. I mean, they had won, um, I don't know, as maybe 13, 14, 15 national
oh,
championships
wow.
when I was kind of in play to even go there. And I really was not. Uh, high prospect as it related to going to the University of Houston. I wasn't in that realm. However, the coach, through I don't know. I almost look at that as a divine appointment, to be
Yeah,
honest with you, because I wasn't categorized as a player that would go to a school like U of H. However, and there's a lot a big backstory to that, but uh, he knew of me. My brother
yeah.
played college golf at Baylor,
Oh, cool.
and the coach knew my brother, liked the way he played. And, I'm sure that my brother gave me high praise to him along the way somewhere, but he had heard of me. But out of the blue, offered me the opportunity to come to the University of Houston and play golf. And I said, golly, there's just no way that
Yeah,
I'm not going to take advantage of that. And my parents certainly endorsed that. They were
yeah,
they were pleased with that. But to have really kind of orchestrated that and had that opportunity was probably larger than I'd ever dreamed of at that point in
yeah.
time. Anyway, yeah.
What was, tell me about you've told me this before, but how many players were on that team?
Well, our good friend, yours and mine, good friend, our one of our godly mentors in life, Jim Barker, he left. He left the University of Houston the year before I came.
Okay.
There were actually 50 players on the golf team when he left. My incoming freshman group, there were 23 of us, which joined 17 others that were their upperclassmen. So we had 40 on the golf team when I joined. But
What was qualifying
oh
like
gosh,
that? I mean, that's like did he segment it up? Because I'm like, how do you just having a 40 player tournament every time?
well, it almost seemed like that. There were those that were, I mean, there were obviously different categories of players when you have that many. And
Yeah,
frankly, all of them weren't in the position to even entertain making the top five, which,
gotcha.
college golf really hadn't changed too much in that respect. I mean, there's a golden five that are players going to events and stuff. But I would tell you out of the 40, there were 15 or 20 that were high caliber players. In
Yeah.
fact, it kind of was well known. Our probably third five probably would have been ranked in the top 10
Wow.
and nationally. I mean, there were that many good players. So the competitiveness was at a high level. Which is, as I found out, was right where I wanted to be because heck, I wanted it. I wanted
Yeah.
that golf bag. I wanted the shirts. I wanted everything that came with
Yeah.
making the team. So I was all in, and I'd have to be very transparent and truthful in saying that education took a back burner. My education was wanting to become a player and play on that team, and then
Yeah.
ultimately get to the big show, the professional golf tour. So
Yeah.
interesting how it played out. But I was challenged right from the start. Back to what I had mentioned earlier. Heck, I wasn't prepared to play in that world, but I wanted it, and
Yeah.
ultimately, that the intensity of wanting it probably way outweighed the my ability level.
Sure.
However, I could play. I mean, and I got better and better. I kind of had a steady progression of
Yeah.
improvement, and interesting that was kind of how I even began the professional golf tour. I got my playing privileges, but boy, I had a lot to learn, and it took me a while to get
Yeah.
traction to become a player.
The, I think, like, just as you're talking, how simple golf sounds to you?
Yeah.
Like, just, it's a game, right? I was just trying to compete, I wanted to win, and it feels like, probably got a lot of the guys on tour are like that nowadays, but a lot of these juniors that I encountered, there's like 9 million things going on in their
Oh,
mind. I want to get this. I want to get, and the parents got, well, I got to make sure their elbow's this, and I got to have a mental coach, and I got to
yeah.
have and you're like, like, do they have that competitive fire? Like, cause that'll carry you a long way.
You're not kidding. That want to is it's hard to measure too,
Yeah.
but and sometimes it comes in a lot of different ways, different looks. You might encounter some that anger issues in what happens just naturally playing the game just seems almost insurmountable that you can get a handle on that
Yeah.
and ultimately bring it to a point where it's a very much an asset.
Yeah.
But that's another conversation that we could have. But
So who on that team? I know, like, Jim McLean, like, one of the greatest teachers all time.
yeah,
Yeah, I think Bruce Lipsky's
yeah, I
on the
walked in
team.
the door with Bruce and Bobby Watkins, whose brother Lanny was a
Yeah.
very successful tour player at the time. So I kind of with Bruce and Bobby, who I hadn't met
Yeah.
along the way,
Okay.
and they played a lot of junior golf, but I hadn't known them, but was immediately uh, recognizing that they were way down the road further than I
Yeah.
was in terms of playing. And that was a huge motivator for me.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Immediately befriended them. They became my
Yeah.
best friends and did a lot of life with them along the way. But boy, I was motivated early because they were way, way better than I was.
So the atmosphere on the team was one of competitiveness, but also like friendship, and or was it pretty cutthroat?
Oh no, it was both. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
Well,
cutthroat.
nobody likes to lose to their friends,
No,
like
that's
this.
true. That's true, but, you couldn't help but, love the atmosphere of your friends. I mean, your friends, your team, and your opponents. I mean, really, to some degree, because you want their spot.
Yeah.
And, there was a huge motivation also is as I moved down the path of college golf, if we're there right now
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, but I didn't wanna play number 5. And kind of our whole squad, we nobody wanted to be 5, 4, 3, or 2. They wanted to play
Number one.
number 1 because they wanted to see everybody's best when we got to tournament time. And
Yeah.
so that was, and in fact, when I've had the opportunity to speak to young players, be it juniors, young professional players, man, you want to play with the best. You want to be there and learn. You want to show them how good you are. That's a huge aspect of wanting to be on the stage, the big stage. And
Yeah.
so the game takes us in and out of a lot of different spots.
Yeah. What, about your college, like, golf, non-golf, like, relationships that you made during that time? Maybe, like, how did you deal with the lows of, I think you told me you didn't play very much until maybe junior year.
Right, right.
How'd you deal with all of that, like, maintaining that belief, and then just impactful relationships that you have even today
Yeah.
through that?
Well, I'm really not sure I could answer that other than saying I just never got so down. I mean, and that didn't mean that I didn't struggle with my golf game from, whether it was striking the golf ball or short game or what, or, high scores, what, but for some reason, I always had this deep belief in myself that I could get there. And that wasn't self talk. I couldn't ever say, oh, you're going to, the boy, slap myself on the, and
Yeah.
pull my bootstraps up. And it was just there. I mean,
Yeah.
I loved the game so much. I loved to compete. I loved to see how good I was on a regular basis. And I was given the opportunity to do that. And no matter how low I got or how disgruntled I
Yeah.
became with the game, which, this game can chew you up and spit you out. And boy, it just seems it can, you can get very much dismayed with the game and who you are. You can get dark with this game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just had this. this deep in the recesses of my heart or gut or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, but that I wanted it so badly that I worked through all the.
Yeah.
There were some highs and lows along the way, even getting there, but it all computed to growing in the game and growing as a player, an individual, and but self belief sometimes is hard to hold on to. But um,
Who was speaking into your life at that time? Was it like was dad speaking? Was the coach like going, I see it in you? Did anybody call out what was in there?
that's a good question. I mean, our coach was a huge motivator. He wasn't like a golf technician or instructor, but he knew how to motivate. He knew how to, and he put you in uh, positions to excel and to test yourself, whether that was competing to make the top five, or if it was down in the bottom of the rung of the group. You were down there. At least you were competing
Yeah.
against good players, and he was giving you always an opportunity. So, my mother and father were always great supporters, so much so that they knew it was important just to let me go. They weren't there, do you call them helicopter
Yeah.
parents or whatever, that over possessive of what I was doing, how I was doing it. I just grew up in an environment that allowed me a lot of room
Yeah.
to excel and to improve, and for that, and the back to Jerry Robinson, who brought me along. He knew how to make the game fun for me, even instructing me. We had so much fun with the game, and he put me in, and uh, always kind of included me in the adult games, and
Yeah.
he was able to watch and observe, and he brought me along in a good way.
I think that's what one of the things I love about golf is like it's all ages, right? My grandfather taught me how to play. Like you're saying, you're younger, playing with these older players. I love seeing like established players or even like some of our better juniors. We always make them either we'll go out on the course and we'll pair them up with like a
Mhm.
younger kid or something. I love seeing that because one, it is a selfish game, but I think you're going to play better if you're selfless, giving to others, and I think that's really cool to hear.
Oh, that's a big statement there. I mean, I think you can live in life if we can get to that selfless giving part of it. That's a good place to be. But it is a terribly uh, can be a terribly selfish game,
Yeah,
frankly. Certainly if you're doing it for your livelihood, but not to jump ahead of where we're going, but we have some beautiful examples. There's Scotty Scheffler, Sam Burns.
yeah,
There are a lot of players out there representing our game that are also representing the faith aspect to their
yes,
lives, and just wonderful ambassadors um, for sport and living life correctly in a high profile sport.
yeah. You told me one time your because I said like, when did you break par? I think you told me 11.
I think that'd be safe to say, yeah.
And I said, like, what was practice like? And you're like, I made a ton of 2-foot putts. You said, I just like to see the ball go in over and
Yeah.
over. Um, did you have structure to your practice growing up, or was it just like, it was a game, man? You're just challenging.
Structure was showing up at the golf course when daybreak and not leaving until it was dark, and I loved it that much. I couldn't overdo it.
Yeah.
Just the ability to, heck, and we hit thousands and thousands of golf balls, and I was around a group of people that loved to do the same thing, and we
Yeah.
we grew together, and you just couldn't tire of it. You just, I don't know, it was, you just bring it on, all you can bring, and just,
Yeah.
and learning the game is all that was taking place. But there's great freedom and being around great friends and experiencing a great sport.
Yeah. And you never felt like you have to do this.
Oh gosh, no,
Yeah.
no, you couldn't overdo it with me. I don't. Maybe that speaks to a deep seated personality, but I liked it, and I liked a lot of it, and
Yeah.
you couldn't burn me out. Ultimately, that happened, but it
Yeah.
went way down the road. But boy, early on, man, there's no way. Yeah,
In college, did you win any tournaments in college?
yeah, yeah. I had.
What was that first win like?
Oh, it was high. Well, the first win was actually making the team,
Yeah.
and I would, credit that only with, having left, uh, school my freshman year and even sophomore years into the summer. I was, I loaded my summers up with golf,
Yeah.
and I was able to get in good amateur golf tournaments. I had good success, and then as I rolled into after my sophomore year and having a good summer before my junior year, and coach noticed that I'd played well, and he elevated me to playing on the first squad right off the bat my junior year, and I played well. And I guess my first college win was at LSU, the LSU Invitational, of which there was a backstory to that as well. But anytime you win, I don't care you win anything. That's good, good for
Sure.
the confidence level. And I don't know. It's I kind of was on this continual nice progression of improvement, and the better you play, the more you want, and uh, you just give an athlete confidence, and there's nothing like that to watch them
Yeah.
accelerate their
What
the
what was one area of your game, like, if you had to just pick one that you went into college that you were like, "I was not good at that,"
yeah.
and that obviously improved in all areas, but, like, what was one area?
Yeah, I think the one thing that I really improved on was consistency. I didn't of course all of us can do bonehead stuff on the golf course, but early on I learned that man, I didn't like the way um oh gosh, how would I put it? I didn't really tolerate uh driving the ball poorly or iron play. I don't know. I'd work it out of the dirt, and
Yeah.
but consistency was one thing that I could consistency and intensity in being focused for
It
an
was
entire
more mentality?
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Gotcha.
definitely mentality. I seem to always have enough game to certainly make it through playing around the golf, but
Sure.
but I was the consistency part of it, managing my golf game was always a challenge. And as I began to get a little bit more of a grasp of controlling emotion, controlling anger,
Yeah.
like I mentioned that earlier, but as I began to learn to become more of a player and able to control those type things, I uh, really kind of the learning curve happened in a hurry,
Yeah.
and became a nice college player.
Yeah.
With every right to be thinking about the next level, which was aiming for the professional golf tour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, did while you were at college, did you get a chance to play any tour
I
events?
did.
You did?
Yeah, I played the Houston Open 2 years, my junior and senior years, and then
Was that a qualifying that you had to get into, or was that just an exemption the team had, or
well, I was given an
okay,
exemption.
that's good.
Yeah. As kind of number one player on the Houston team, you were afforded some perks, and that was one of them. And then as well, qualified for two U.S. Opens
Oh, yeah.
as a junior and senior. As a sophomore, I qualified for the U.S. Open at Marion
Oh, cool.
in Philadelphia, and for the 1973, the Johnny Miller year,
Oh, at
of which I played
Oakmont?
at Oakmont, yeah, I've qualified for that US Open too, so I was,
Did you make the cut in either?
no, no, hey, I didn't, but,
Was it still, like it is now? It's like, like stage 1, then you got regionals, and then you got was it like, I mean, it was a gauntlet.
oh, golly, yeah,
Yeah.
36 holes, I don't regional qualifying, and then 36 holes
Yeah.
sectional qualifying, and then, that carried over onto tour days too. When you were right in the middle of traveling the tour, when you got to, I guess May, you if you were going to qualify for the U.S. Open, 36 holes regional and 36 holes.
Yeah.
So, and at least until you became exempt through playing well on the tour
Sure.
or finishing well in the U.S. Open. But yeah, it was a grind. That's probably a good word to
So
summarize.
first tour event was a US Open?
No, it was the Houston
It
Open,
was
I
a
think.
Houston.
Yeah, I think
So
it was.
what was that like on the first tee or practicing next to those guys that are doing it for a living?
Yeah. Well, I can remember, I can't recall it exactly, except I know I was excited, certainly. And I actually think that I probably ought to remember this, but I might have made the cut in both of those. I know I made the cut in one of the Houston Opens. And yeah, it was a big deal. And gosh, it was kind of a dream come true playing in a professional event. But, that was table setting for what was to come because kind of that belief system that I kind of just inherently had. I felt like
You knew you were
I knew I was headed for the tour, and
yeah.
but that wasn't by any means a lay down. That next step, the qualifying school, I even get a knot in my stomach here talking about it, thinking about it, because that was a different deal. I put all the stakes on the table for getting there and experiencing that because I felt like if I didn't make the uh, get my tour card at qualifying school that, life was over as I knew it.
There was no Corn Ferry, Nike, Ben
Yeah,
Hogan tour or
we played
there
many
was some?
tours, Joe. Yeah,
Okay.
and that was a huge stepping stone into being
Yeah.
prepared for
So if you hadn't
so
made tour,
oh,
you'd
God,
have to go down the and
yeah.
the money's not real big on those now. I can't even imagine back in the day.
No, it was just getting by, and, if you had the good fortune of, a good run of events, maybe winning or whatever, you kinda made the expenses
Yeah.
and maybe even put a little bit in the bank, but it was slim pickings, and
Yeah.
that's the reason you wanted so badly to get to the big show, so you could, it was all there to be.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep
Keep
going.
going. So you get done with school, you go to qualifying school, you get through the first time?
Yep.
Okay. And then
Miracle, but yeah, I think I finished 7th in a group of 19, and as it relates to the tour school, maybe you were going there, but, there was kind of a regional and then the
yeah,
final school, and, man, I think ultimately you had not that you were just one-on-one against them, but I think there were 3,500 people that apply, and then
yeah,
the first stage was the 2 golf courses, 350 players, and you make it out of that, and then a small group goes to the final stage of qualifying, and there's 100 and 50 something of us there, and they take 19.
yeah.
That and we didn't even know the number that they were going to take. We're just playing our hearts out.
You're just playing against the course or are you playing against people? Like
Well,
in your mind?
yeah, you're always challenged with, you're not, playing against, a fellow competitor. I mean, sometimes that plays out. It may look that way, but no, you're playing against, not only the golf course, the challenge of that, but, some people like to develop up target scores or whatever. I was never like that, but
Yeah,
I just played my heart out as hard as I could and, took it as it came, really. I didn't get too carried away with all the minutia of thinking about, however, it weighed heavily on me. I wanted it, and
yeah,
you just, I always tried to just play the best I could and trust the results, and,
yeah. So
uh
the night before the final round of Q school,
oh my
I don't
gosh.
know what position you're in, but, like, what was did you sleep the night before,
Well,
or what was that
no,
like?
no, physically and mentally, it was, very taxing, and again, maybe unlike some of them, but I put the whole ball of wax out there. I mean, it kinda was do or die for me.
Yeah,
It really I almost could tell you that. It was, I had no idea of a plan B. It
yeah,
was either get there or, I might be on a railroad laying cross ties or something. Who knows? There was always something, but I really put it out there that this was it was all or nothing.
yeah.
And fortunately, uh, you know, I like to think that God had a plan for me, and
Yeah.
we were able to push through and get to the professional golf rank.
Now, any of your friends, were they already out there?
Absolutely, and in fact, my very best friend, who we did so much life with, college, and even post-college, Bruce Litsky, he missed by a shot that qualifying school.
Uh,
And so, and another good friend of mine, Arthur Russell, the same. They both missed
by
by a shot,
one
and
shot.
of course, Bruce and I, we were staying together, the whole works,
Mhm.
but he was so strong-minded and had such a good attitude, and he said, "Heck, I'm gonna go. I'll play the mini tours. I'll catch." And they had another school for the first time 6 months later, and he said, "Heck, I'm gonna go and I'll see you at the U.S. Open, by the way, and then right after that is tour school. I'll make the tour. I'll be out here 6 months." Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, he missed the first one, which was heartbreaking, obviously, to him and us, but, we were confident that he'd be okay.
Yeah, and did you guys, like with you got some friends out there, was that were you racing to get the first win, like, who's gonna get the first win, or
I don't think so.
you're just
In
trying
fact,
to survive?
winning never entered my mind. I was just glad to be there, and I was
Yeah,
very content with the idea that this is where I wanted to be, this is what I wanted to do, and, I'll take it as it comes. I'll give it every ounce of effort that
yeah,
I can. But I will tell you, I'll never forget this, um, that I knew as soon as I got that opportunity to play the tour, my tour card, as we called it, um, I had this incredibly overwhelming sense of this is just where I wanted to be.
yeah,
And never a discomfort. I had a wife, very supportive. Gosh, we were off to the races. Man, you talking about living the dream.
yeah,
Although there were some early heartaches, missing qualifyings to play in tournaments, and boy, just what we called a tour rabbit.
yeah,
I was one of them, but boy, I loved the challenge. I loved it so much, and ultimately, kind of got a little traction, and ultimately, kind of
yeah.
made a good go of it.
Did you have any times, like, where you were, like, first alternate and you had to wait around on the like, you're at an event waiting around and getting the call or not getting the call, or
Absolutely. Again, we Monday qualified to actually
okay,
get to the opportunity to play in a tournament. And I'll never forget. Um, my I missed the first two qualifyings. Didn't play too bad, but missed in Phoenix and Tucson. The third event was playing the uh, the Bing Crosby,
yeah,
and I qualified at Spyglass, and I shot 75, and I believe I three putted the last hole, and I was just devastated, fuming that uh, pretty certain that I'd missed the qualifying. And so that was one of those deals I had to wait around till the last cat finished.
yeah.
And somehow or another, uh, you
That's a hard course.
oh, golly, I say 75, but I mean, it was a tough day, bad weather, the
Sure,
whole works.
sure.
Played okay, but there was a reason to believe that 75 was gonna qualify, and ultimately it did. And, of course, I missed the cut there at my first op
Yeah,
but then qualified to go to Hawaii, at a course nearby to go to Hawaii, and that was my first feeling of, "Golly, man, I'm on
I'm
my
doing it.
way now. I'm making my
Yeah.
way." Yeah.
What advice would you give for, like, one day Monday qualifying events?
Yeah.
What was your focus going into that? Just like, "I'm just gonna knock down every flag stick," or, "I'm gonna be patient and take
No,
my shots."
I'll tell you what, they don't let you turn in a score, or they don't let you, predict how it's gonna go. You gotta go out there. First shot's the most important one that they give you. I mean, you've gotta, take it as it comes,
Yeah,
take advantage of momentum. You gotta claw fight with all your might. If it doesn't go well early in the round, middle round, you just, and I was always good about that. I didn't like to predict what a target score of what was gonna qualify. Didn't want that, burden.
yeah,
So I took it one shot at a time. The oldest cliche in golf, high level golf, is, take it one shot at a time, and
yeah,
that's all they give you. And, but you have to be aware of momentum swings. Boy, can't get too high, too low,
yeah,
all the stuff that you teach on a regular basis. But boy, you're learning as you go, and there's a lot of teaching and a lot of learning in every round of golf you play. Uh, I didn't dwell on it too much, but it hurt to play bad. It felt great to play good. I wasn't a emotionalist type player, so, um, but professional golf is a lot more about hitting golf shots, about making putts, about shooting scores, but it's a lifestyle, and it's the game you choose, it's the profession you chose, and there are a lot of things that go on, a lot of things that happen outside the ropes, and kind of from qualifying to having to work on your game, as you
Yeah, as you're
maneuver.
traveling and stuff, it
Yeah,
has to be a
travel is frankly, to be honest, there were a lot of players that, I graduated onto the tour with that had played college golf that, they got out there and didn't like the lifestyle,
yeah,
the travel, the sacrifice, frankly, that your
yeah,
wife probably has to make or needs to make to support you if you're going to have some success
yeah,
on the tour, and some did and some didn't. And,
yeah,
there are lots of different aspects to a tour player becoming successful or not becoming
sure.
successful. Yeah.
So on, like Monday qualifiers or tour, you play a practice round before a Monday
Yeah,
qualifier?
hopefully. Sometimes you didn't. You didn't have time to get from A to B,
Yeah,
and you might be at a good, at a golf course and go cold.
and you're going with a local caddy, or you carrying your own bag?
More often than not, we no, we had our tour caddies, and that
Nice.
was that was an interesting kind of situation, winding up with caddies that were, complimented what you were doing or they did. And,
Yeah,
early on, I was in and out of different caddies, some that were out there for just for the dream
yeah,
luxury,
yeah, yeah,
the glorious life of tour life, but, uh, fortunately, ultimately, I ended up with one in particular that was really a great caddy,
yeah.
and that
You
really.
kinda gotta be like brothers, right? I mean, you're gonna spend so much time with that person.
Well, you do, and I look at modern day, Scotty, Scheffler and
Ted Scotty.
Ted, you can just tell that they just have it going on, just
Yeah,
complement each other beautifully in a lot of different ways, not only caddy-player relationship, but, faith journeys. They just share a
yeah,
bond that's, just special, and I think they're, usually, if you see a successful tour player, they're matched up so good with
yeah,
a great caddy. And my caddy that we had a lot of success with, or that I had a lot of success with, he knew me better than I knew me. He
yeah,
knew my tendencies. He knew when to talk, when not. Uh, he loved the tour life. He was. Never had to worry about what he was doing. He lived his life. I lived my life. We came together as player caddy, and
yeah,
that was a good way for me to allow me all the freedom to play, and
yeah.
to play the game, the level that I you know uh, knew I was capable of.
So you talked about, like, basically you never set expectations going into an event. So talk about, like, just briefly, like, your practice round. Did you keep score, not keep score? How did you make sure that you didn't have an expectation of, like, "I've played this, I know I can shoot 63 here,"
Yeah.
or something like that?
Well, that's a great question, and I think that was one of my strong suits actually. Um, I'm not saying that I didn't play practice rounds intentionally to learn more about, you always got a feel for the guy. Although you might be returning for your seventh year in a row at this golf course,
Yeah,
you always wanted to uh, take a practice round and just to experience whether there was anything different about the green speeds or rough height or fairway, how they were cut, new bunkers, new green shapes, whatever. You just naturally did that. But frankly, I would categorize myself as one that didn't take practice rounds too seriously,
yeah,
however paid attention, I always got a feel for the greens. We
Yeah.
were constantly going from one type grass to another, bent to Bermuda, and different green speeds to some degree, grains and all that. You had to pay attention. You usually, because the tour, we traveled and had our spots where we liked and played, be it Texas and Florida. I really enjoyed playing in those type golf courses, and everybody kind of had their favorites. I think
Yeah.
uh, over the course of a career, I love the more difficult tests.
Okay.
U.S. Opens, Open Championships, and
Yeah.
PGA's. Just I liked it when it was tough, and but not that that.
Did you get more fired up for the majors?
You
Did
knew
that
they
feel
were
bigger?
different. Yeah, a lot of people would like to comment, "Oh, just another week." No, it's not another week. It's a major, and everybody knew that. But you got settled in, and uh, I like the nature of I like the feel of it, and
Yeah.
whether that was it wasn't so much heaping more pressure on yourself, but it was different, and frankly, not that you asked this, but I never had an aspiration or a thought really of winning a major. As I certainly started the tour.
Yeah.
Heck, I was just along for the ride, loving the whole deal. And as you became a better player and kind of more settled in professional golf and everything involved in it, you things became easier,
Yeah.
and you kind of were.
When did that first win on tour come?
I actually traveled quite a bit internationally, even early tour days. But in 1977, I won a major tournament in Japan. It was called the
Okay.
Taiheiyo Masters, and lots of Americans played, but all the best Japanese players. But it was a big win. I mean,
Yeah. That was
several.
your first
That
professional
was my
win?
first well, I'd won on many tours,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
which, that was, those were good
Sure.
in their own right, but this was really kind of a major step, and, like I was commenting, boy, you play to get, some momentum, a confidence level that, it takes your, I don't know, it just really heightens your ability level, you feel like, and boy, you just can't wait to play it out and
Sure.
to take advantage of all that momentum is about. And what does that mean? It means that you're at a heightened level, not only playing wise, but mentally.
Yeah.
And, you can, it's much easier to handle adversity when, and maybe some, well, adversity, let me just leave it at that, be it poor starts, poor rounds, whatever, you're just
Yeah.
able to handle that. And that's just a part of uh, the tour life. It's not going to always go well. There's plenty of peaks and valleys
Sure.
in the journey. But that first win was a huge momentum boost for me, and that was in the fall of the year. So um, our tour was almost over, but the next year I won my first tour event at the Bob Hope Desert Classic
Okay.
in Palm Springs. So, heck, in my eyes, man, I was off to the races, and boy, just um, that was a inherent problem of man. I tried to get ahead of myself awfully,
Yeah.
too often, and I really had to rein myself back and kind of learn more to take it as it comes and learn
Sure.
patience and again, just kind of managing how I played this professional game.
Yeah. So and I don't have all the facts here,
Mm.
so just correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe in 1981, you have the US Open. Is that the one you were real close to winning?
Yeah.
It's the famous chip at Pebble Beach.
No, no, that
Or
was actually the year after, but
that's 82?
yeah, 82. But the U.S. Open in 81, I'd won earlier in the year at Harbor Town, which is a real great test of golf, and I was playing very, very well and played well at the U.S. Open at Marion. Won David Graham.
Okay.
Played basically it's called the kind of the perfect round, and uh, I finished second there, and just a huge amount of confidence going to the Open Championship
Okay. Yeah.
a month later, and just playing as good as I could play, and had a great just a great mental attitude about where I was in the world of golf, and kind of played good enough to win.
Yeah.
But
Where was that? What course was that at?
it's Royal St. George's in
Yeah.
England.
Is that like when you look back on that, it's been a minute, but is that like that course has a special place in your heart? You're like, man, I just love that place.
Well, yeah, it was but a minute ago. Yeah, it was long, many moons ago. But as I look back on it and reflected back on winning that Open Championship, and kind of back to my statement that I like tougher test,
Yeah.
real challenge and challenging golf courses. That was certainly one of them. It was a hard golf course. It was the first year the Open had returned back to that golf course in many, many years.
Okay.
And so nobody was like completely familiar with the golf course. The European squad,
Yeah.
they had played there from time to time, but it was kind of an unknown.
Okay.
So, but a difficult test, and I don't know.
Yeah.
My game shined that week, and I was able to bring it home.
Yeah. That's great. I know. I think it's just the Open Championship. They put a lot of they condense it and put an episode on YouTube. And I saw yours, and your hair is quite different for
Oh
that.
gosh, yeah, it was all about the hair. Then
But talk about like well, the next year, since I went ahead and brought it up, sorry, but like it's the Tom Watson chip in on
yeah.
17. You were actually in contention in that US Open, right?
Yeah, I was leading through
Okay.
63
And
holes.
was that the final? That was the
That was
final
the
round?
final round, yeah.
And he chips in this
Oh, yeah.
ridiculous on
But
17.
there was so much, Joe, that happened before that. I mean, he was an all-in type guy. He had a lot riding on that day because he had certainly in terms of what media had formed it up. I mean, he had blown a couple of U.S.
Mhm.
Opens prior to that, so he had a lot of pressure on the day going in. Everybody does, but he was the best player that day, no doubt about it. And proof in point, one aspect of that, or one part of the round the last day that really it made a huge impression on me, other than the chip in that on the 71st hole. On the fourth tee that day, short par four with the ocean to the right,
Yeah.
and I certainly did. Everybody, hit either one iron or four wood off the tee, and had probably a 60 to 70 yard, pretty easy pitch shot in there. He takes driver out and sets it down the right side, the
Oh,
ocean cliff,
wow.
draws it off the cliff and knocks it, or hits it in the fringe, on the front fringe. And I said, "Ooh, that looked
Yeah, he wasn't
different."
playing for
No,
second.
sir. No, sir. And, there were some miraculous things. The 10th hole that day, I just three putted nine to go back in a tie with him and he pushed his second shot in the on into the cliff and the
Yeah.
hazard, and everybody was over there clawing around trying to find the ball. It's just impossible stuff. They locate it, and I was surprised that he even pulled out a club to go down there and hit it, and he thrashes one out in grass, and it flies around, and somehow the ball kinda lobs out and onto the front fringe, makes it for 4, and,
Wow.
boy, and then it was a race home to, he makes 2 or 3 birdies, and then the chip in, and then birdies
Yeah.
18, so
Yeah.
but it was his to win. He played aggressively, played hard, and played good, but it was his time.
Yeah.
And with Nicholas sitting in the clubhouse, and they'd
So you played with Jack, Arnie, you played
yeah.
were they in their prime, or they were kind of
Well,
on that?
Arnold was more at the backside of his career, although still competing, but Jack
Yeah.
was in the middle of it. I played on the Ryder Cup team with Jack
Okay.
um, and Tom,
When
and so
on the Ryder Cup, like, as a fan, we watch these, and, like, Like, we root for the Europe guys when they're on the tour,
Yeah.
but when we see them in that European, we hate them.
Oh, yeah.
Is it friendly at the Ryder Cup, or is it pretty cutthroat,
Well,
like
somewhat, and even, I think the team that I played on was 1981, and, the Ryder Cup has always been serious. I mean,
yeah,
anytime you're competing against anybody is but, it was as serious could
yeah,
be, in '81, and we had an unbelievable team, put together, captained by Dave Marr, a former PGA champion, but obviously, as the game has evolved and all the stuff that's going on in Ryder Cups now
yeah,
and stuff, it appears that I mean, it's at an importance level that almost rivals any of the other sports grand events. But it it uh, it was serious as a heart
yeah,
attack, when we played, and I
yeah,
remember feeling a pressure like none other. And heck, I was
really,
only I'd won the Open Championship 2 months earlier in July, and now I'm there in September back in England. We
yeah,
played the matches at Walton Heath there, and I wasn't near as popular then as I was a couple months earlier.
yeah,
But anyway, it was a serious deal. But there's no wonder. I mean, you just about do anything to
yeah,
be a part of a Ryder Cup team.
yeah,
It's that
that's cool.
wonderful. Yeah.
Who was the, like, toughest everybody's got their weeks, but who was the toughest competitor that you went up against that you were like, maybe had some memorable matches
Yeah,
or
yeah.
anything?
I, squeezed out a half point against Bernard Gallagher, not Langer, but Bernard Gallagher, who,
Okay.
eventually became, a 2 or 3-time Ryder Cup
Oh,
captain, and
wow.
I think he was successful in
Yeah,
all of his captaincies, but, oh, he's a tough guy. Golly, he was tough, and, everybody, kinda knew that, and
yeah,
not that Peter Oosterhouse and, Faldo and all,
yeah,
they certainly had a good team, but, Ballesteros
yeah.
frankly didn't play in that '81 Ryder Cup match because he was kinda protesting the matches because he thought that the players ought to be played or paid.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah,
anyway, be that as it may, he was a missing link to the European team. But yeah, Bernard Gallagher, I'd about wanted to play anybody other than him.
really?
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
tough guy, tough cat.
What about on tour? Guys that you were on, not in the Ryder Cup, but just guys you competed with over your career. Who was somebody you went head to head with that you were
Well, frankly, Tom Watson. I mean,
yeah,
when I was going well, he was going great, and gosh, he snuffed me out twice at the Byron Nelson back-to-back
yeah,
years. I mean, I one year a playoff, and one year he beat me by a shot. I think that was 79 and 80, and well, those were tough losses. I took those hard, but every time I ran up against him, it seemed like he was, pulled something
yeah,
out of the bag, miraculous, and but he was just phenomenal in the, many years that he played the tour, but, there was a stretch where they can talk about great putters, but nobody putted the ball any better than him. Very aggressive putter and,
yeah,
uh, played fearlessly, very aggressive, and I loved playing with him because there was no nonsense, no
yeah,
fooling around. Boy, it was on, and,
sure.
he did his deal, I did my deal, and that doesn't mean you're unfriendly or on
Yeah,
the golf
yeah,
course, and you even, could chat, but boy, it was all about
yeah,
playing and getting after it. Yeah.
yeah. What, excuse me, favorite course that you ever played?
Oh, I mean,
Or give me top 3.
yeah, top three. I'd say Pebble Beach. I love Pebble Beach. Frankly, because kind of almost had an
Yeah.
open but I love
It's
playing
kinda
the.
pretty out there too.
Oh, it's a little bit special. I think God favored that place with a little extra
Yeah.
dust, yeah, but, uh, I love that, Cypress Point out there as well is wonderful and great, Augusta National. The Northeast golf courses, Shinnecock, and,
Yeah,
uh, there are just so many, good venues, up in the Northeast, Oak Hill, Wingfoot, and I was, very privileged, blessed to have played major championships on
yeah.
all those courses, but it's hard to boil it down to one, but
Sure. Yeah.
I've heard Nicholas say this. I didn't borrow it from him, but if I had one round of golf to play, it'd probably be Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many hole in ones on tour? Somebody's gonna ask this.
None.
None?
No.
What about at the, par 3 at Augusta National? Seems like everybody's always making them there. None?
Yeah, none. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. Uh, the only competitive one that I ever made was in a college tournament
Okay.
in
Yeah.
Austin at Morris Williams. Yeah, I made a one there, but in competition, only one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't have one.
Well,
Jay and Abby
you
both
st-
have 2 apiece, so
oh, did they really? Yeah.
Jay
Well,
made one in his very first junior tournament ever. He made a hole in one in his first
he was destined to be a part of this game. Yeah, y- another question that you're often asked, but it's amazing people you run into that have never made one, yourself included.
Yeah,
But
thanks.
I don't think
Appreciate it.
Hogan never made one. I don't think.
Really?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna quote that.
Well, maybe look it up. There's plenty, but I think that's right.
That's crazy.
In fact, the story goes he's playing with Byron Nelson in a exhibition match, and uh, Nelson steps up, or Hogan steps up there and hits a shot on a par three up there about 3 feet, and Byron steps up and makes a one, and of course Hogan has nothing to say. Goes up, taps in his 3-footer for birdie after Byron has taken his one out, and they're walking to the next tee, and Byron or Hogan looks at Byron and says, that's the first birdie I've ever made on that hole. Nothing said about the Byron's one, but
Um, so 81, you win the British Open, Player of the Year. Probably I mean, as far as like golf goals, that's like, I mean, that's the pinnacle, right?
yeah, it was a pinnacle,
At
yes.
at what like we met at a Bible study,
Mhm.
and we've bonded kind of over our faith in Jesus. Can you kind of talk about like share what you want on that? But like, was that like you're there? Was there a point where it was like, is this all there is? Or were you already following the Lord then, or kind of you don't have to go into a ton of detail.
Yeah,
I'm curious, like how you came to the Lord.
I try to condense that down. You'd have to understand I got my playing privileges in 1975,
Okay.
went to the top of the heap in what, 6 years,
Yeah.
1981 at the as high as you could get, and then step away from the competitive game in 1988. So
Yeah.
it adds up. It was a 14-year career, but there's a lot happened in that short 14 years. Um, Frankly, I was not bred up or prepared or had never even entertained a year like 1981. But
Yeah.
as a player, you catch the wave and you go with it, and there's a lot happened. Won 7 times around the world, Australian Open, the Open
Wow.
Championship. And several 4 events on the uh, PGA Tour, and find myself in a position that certainly I wasn't prepared for, as I mentioned. But boy, I liked it. As a heady area or heady ground to to find yourself. But I could. Oh gosh, there's so many directions I could go with it. I was pretty content. I might have even mentioned it earlier about playing the tour, making a livelihood, enjoying the journey, and then this is a realm of which I could not have ever imagined, and life as I knew it changed completely that year. Um, I had an agent. They were the best at what they did. They provided opportunity all over the world. I didn't miss an opportunity to
Yeah.
chase the almighty dollar. It was an idol of mine. I loved it. I was, my life, as I'm able to reflect back on it in a lot of different ways, but uh, Heck, I was my whole identity was performance based, and how the opinions of others. You lived kind of under the scrutiny of what the media, how they
Yeah.
described, told you who you were, and then obviously as you performed, everybody was able to see that in spades,
Yeah.
whether it was on TV or in the newspaper, whatever. And so I lived in a world that was all about me, and everybody telling me, how great I was.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought the world was shaped up by if you had a lot, you were a lot.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have much, you weren't much. And, a real skewed perspective of the world. But, you kind of the recipe of success and the world at your feet. That's dangerous is probably not the right word, but it can be a recipe for developing a
Yeah.
perspective like I had, and it took me a good long while to kind of get my feet back under me, and uh, you know, as it eventually played out, God had a different a different plan for me, uh, and that wasn't playing the tour for the
Yeah.
rest of my life.
Yeah.
Um, in 1976, sophomore on tour, uh, just plowing through, loving life, the whole work. Uh, a couple of fellows, Larry Nelson, Rick Massengale, Wally Armstrong, they were members of the tour Bible study. They were always inviting the younger players to come and see what was going on and
Yeah.
what have you. So at the Tallahassee Open, my sophomore year, they invited me, and for somehow God gave me a little headbutt and said, stirred my heart that, um, I'm going to go to the tour Bible study and see what's going on. And at
Yeah.
that time, it was a little bit of a one-off kind of, people, kind of had, uh, it just wasn't, if you were all about yourself and playing the tour and your whole life revolved around being successful or this game of golf, you wouldn't ever think too much about
Yeah.
what the tour Bible study might offer. Anyway, I it was at the Holiday Inn. Somebody had a room there. We met, and I heard the good news of Jesus Christ, the gift of forgiveness and joy and
Yeah.
peace. And heck, I walked out in the parking lot and I asked Jesus to come into my heart, and he did, and I was on fire for 2 weeks, man. And I often comment that as I look back on that, I know, because I know who I was,
Yeah.
I know that a certain part of me went to that tour Bible study because I thought it might help me along my journey in
Mm.
with golf. Maybe a little help with the
Yeah.
golf game, which
Yeah.
was so selfish, but I
Sure.
was strung up. I was good guy, good boy, man, great family, and
Yeah.
I was not kind of off in the weeds type guy. I was making my way okay, but I know that in my heart that was a part of it. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to
Yeah.
enjoy a good livelihood playing this game of golf. But little did I know, that that was a defining moment in my life,
Yeah.
meeting the Lord. And like I said, my life changed for 2 weeks. Gosh, I was a terrible, profane mouth, cussed. I don't know. It was just a super weakness in my character, and it just was.
This game brings it out.
This game brings it. Well, as it turns out, the 2 week, I had a behavioral change in my life, not a
Yeah.
heart change. I wasn't prepared to commit my life to
Yeah.
following Jesus at that point. However, I look back on it. Thank God for these men that
Yeah.
reached out to me and gave me an opportunity to come and hear about the good news of Jesus
Sure.
Christ. So anyway, fast forward that, like I said, uh, God at that point in time, I put him put my faith up on a shelf and say, "I'll get back to you when I'm through doing what
Yeah.
I can do," type deal. But heck, I was young and going for it, and that was just the way I did it. And it
Yeah.
really wasn't until I left the tour in
Yeah.
1988, a lot of life lived in those 14 years, that I actually found myself wanting to commit to a
Yeah.
faith journey. And my wife had a lot to do with that. We had a young family beginning, and she had grown up in the church, and she said, "We're going to get these kids in church, and
Yeah.
we're going to get in church as well." That was kind of was a significant factor. But then, miraculously, only could give God the credit that a lot of important people began to show up right in my path, right
Yeah.
in uh, my lane. And one being Jim Barker, who had played the tour, was at the University of Houston. We talked about him, but
Yeah.
he began to disciple me. I began to um, kind of he basically was a godly mentor.
Yeah.
And then several more people along the way. Jim Hiskey, who was a great college player at the University of Houston, played the tour. He steps into my life. So anyway, as life after tour was beginning to take form, and I loved being at home.
Yeah.
And one thing that I won't speak for the Lord, but I believe that He affirmed me leaving the professional golf life, was that never once uh, did I regret leaving
Yeah.
professional
Cool.
golf. It had it had, as I mentioned earlier, kind of chewed me up, spit me out, and
Yeah.
God allowed me to go through that phase of life, that chapter of life, and come out on the other side. And we're going to try something different for
Yeah.
this second half, so to
Now
speak.
you told me something a long time ago. I don't know if you remember this, but or maybe Barker told me, but said you went through like 2 years on tour where you felt like you couldn't miss a shot,
Mhm.
but then you were standing on the 17th tee box at Sawgrass, and you prayed something like, "God, if you'll help me hit this green, I'll stop coming out here and embarrassing you."
That's absolutely the truth. I mean, it was. I don't know if it was the last year. It might have been 87 or 88. It was one of those 2 years, and
Yeah.
and I didn't know if there was any way that I could get it on the green and finish this one of the most challenging holes in golf. But I remember saying, "Yeah, I'll never embarrass you again, God, if you'll get me past the 17th hole." And obviously he did, but that was a real low spot. I mean,
Yeah.
I was going through the motions, but I hated it.
Yeah.
I was just completely wiped out. I'd checked every box along the way, from going and chasing the almighty dollar to completely giving no effort to working on my
Yeah.
golf game. And I wasn't willing, really, in a short time after 1981, probably 85, 86, I just was not willing to pay the price to
Yeah.
continue to be not only to be great again, but to be a good tour player.
Yeah.
And so the the light on the horizon of walking away from professional golf was there, you know, probably uh, 5 years after
Yeah.
having stood on the mountaintop. Yeah.
Yeah. The, 14 years, pretty great career, and then,
It's
did you know Barker on tour or you met him
Yeah,
afterwards?
yeah, we played many tours together,
Okay.
early tour days, and, we didn't, we were running together. He was doing his deal. He came to faith, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
on the tour,
Okay,
at a
yeah.
tour Bible
I
study.
remember that story.
So, not that you'll get to that, but, that, tour fellowship, tour Bible study, call it what you will, has had a dramatic impact on a
Yeah.
lot of lives. And it is a flourishing part of the tour now. And some of our finest players, finest representatives are carrying the banner for Christ
I think
now.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
really cool.
It truly is.
Now
And people, I mean, gosh, you take one more time to mention his name, Scotty Scheffler. I mean, they can't figure him out. I mean, or they're somewhat in awe of what he's doing, and with a demeanor
yeah.
unlike about anybody's ever done this game, at
Yeah.
certainly at a phenomenal level. And it's great for the faith community.
Yeah.
And, people are drawn to that. And he's doing it so well. His family's doing it well. And I frankly know his dad. I've pretty well. I met Scotty,
Yeah.
know him a little bit, but gosh, it's wonderful to see the
Yeah.
game's in good hands right now.
And I think it's like shows that importance of like not just your faith and your relationship with the Lord, like obvious that has to like you were talking early on, you had this ambition to get some ambition will carry you so far.
Hmm.
And then like, is this what God has for
Yeah,
you? And Scotty's like, I don't know him, but I've watched all he's totally secure in who he is.
yeah,
Right. He's like, I feel like God could ask me to leave this tour tomorrow. I do it. Like I don't take identity in my and it's like that to me is success. Whether he wins ever again or not,
yeah,
you're managing your life successfully. You're being like a phenomenal example to all these kids and just and other professional athletes. I'm sure other professional athletes that are, at
absolutely.
the top are looking at him going, what is it? Like, how are you able to stay so steady? And he's very vocal. It's my faith.
Absolutely. And as you well put, I mean, and he stated a lot of times and many others, but golf is what he does. It's not who he is. And
Yeah.
I can look back so much on my little stint that time on the radar screen. Golf is absolutely who I was. It was
Yeah.
everything. And, I hadn't encountered the possibility of something that was fulfilling and
Yeah.
satisfying uh, eternally.
Yeah.
For thank God, but that in itself, at the end of the day, is living for the sake of others, giving, learning to become a giver rather than a
Yeah.
taker. Oh gosh, I can cringe at the thought of how much of a taker I was, manipulating
Yeah.
people, and everybody wanting a piece of you, and
Yeah.
especially if it had anything to do with had a financial aspect
Yeah.
to it, I was taken, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, this it's a good journey no matter
Yeah.
what we do, but we can it does become ultimately an identity issue,
Yeah.
and whether we're performance-based identity with and living with for about the opinions of others,
Yeah.
or are we secure in our faith in a God that loves us? Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I go back to the Bible study days. I don't go to them anymore, but Jim Barker has them, seems at every Bill Miller's in San Antonio. And he was a great mentor to me, during that time. I met you through that. I had no idea Bob Mahan invited me to that, and we'll wrap up here, but I didn't know who anybody was. I just remember, like, I remember sitting down talking to you. We talked about fishing and hunting. Like, cause you had, like, a vest on, and I'm like, "Oh, this guy's, like, outdoorsy, that's
Mm.
cool, I like that stuff." And then I remember somebody asking me, like, "Are you on tour?" And I'm like it was kinda cool, I was like, "No."
Not yet.
Yeah, and they go, "Yeah, you're way too happy to be on tour." And I'm like, "Okay." And then Bob told me, he's like, "Yeah, you met Bill," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that guy, yeah, he likes to fish and stuff," and he's like, "He played on tour," and that was like, that Bible study was the first time like, I had met guys on tour. It was the first time I'd met believers that were like, "Yeah, we've done this," but it felt so good to me that it wasn't like, "Here's this guy that won," and I just like, I was like, "Yeah, these guys accomplished some stuff, and they've been around these things, but they're all about, like, serving the Lord. They're humble. It was so great for me to see because it's like, man, in this industry, in golf, especially in golf instruction, we're all touting ourselves. "Come to me, I'm the
Yeah.
greatest swing instructor," and I hate that. It's like it just reeks of insecurity and I think your story's awesome. I think, it's like so appreciate you sharing it. You've been a great friend to me over the years and to this facility. You lent your British Open trophy
Oh
here.
God.
I got pictures with it, so I make it look like I won that thing.
Well, we serve a great God. To him, certainly all the glory. I would say one of the comfort levels that you probably sense when you did come to our Tuesday morning get-togethers, men's group. The golf it was a common thread
Yeah.
with about everybody there. But you recognize quickly that we were all lost balls in the high weeds.
Yeah.
There's a Barkerism, but
Yeah.
trying to find our way, works in progress. But
Yeah.
boy, I'll tell you, if there's one thing that this game is so relational and it fits in with so much of what
Yeah.
the groundwork that God lays out for us, and it's so easy to share in the game of golf. But uh, it's encourage anybody, of which it brings us together. Basically, is finding a fellowship, finding
Yeah.
friends, and gosh, we're all just trying to be better. Whether it's us men, husbands,
Yep.
fathers, grandfathers, what have you, and fellowship is so important. And we're good about sometimes getting off on our own
Yeah.
islands, but we share a good friendship,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah,
I think that about wraps it up. And we'll probably edit this out, but
yeah.
thank you so much for doing this.
Great to be here.
Hello. You're still there. Great. Hit like, subscribe, make sure the bell's on. You won't miss another one of these fantastic episodes.